Welcome to Pharmacytodose, the Critical Care Podcast. And I'm your host, Nick Peters. Wherever you are and however you are listening, thank you. Well, what an awesome 2025 ACCP annual meeting. Every day filled with highlights. We had a pre-cap. And then today's recap, essentially, it got filed on Wednesday because we added a little addendum with so much that happened. So tons here. So the way it's set up. So Anthony and I kind of popped on a Zoom and recorded for about 20-ish, 25 minutes. That's at the start of the episode. And then, as always, the episode that we filmed live in Minneapolis sort of closes us out. So again, can't thank everyone enough. What an awesome time. What a great conference in Minneapolis. Already looking forward to the next conference to see everybody in mid-year, FCCM. So great things. But again, appreciate everybody, all the support, all the kind words. Loved meeting people. It's a great time. And now, of course, we are back to reality at work. So let's listen to this full recap episode. Pretend we are still living that conference life. So here we go. In a conference full of firsts, we have another, right? So, of course, we had the pre-cap with Anthony and I kind of previewing the conference, right? And so much happened on the last night that we had to then come back. This is Wednesday, day after the conference. And we are remoting in with Anthony via Zoom. So we are not in hotel room 917 anymore. And there are a few things we wanted to recap, talk about, other things we missed that we wanted to highlight, and then one or two notable things. So Anthony, welcome back. How was the travel home?
Smooth travels, no complaints. Wasn't overly excited about that flight yesterday morning after a lack of sleep, but nonetheless, it was good. Now I'm back, and while I'm exhausted, I'm also energized.
You look good. You don't look exhausted. You look great. You're at work, right? I definitely was wondering if I was going to see you in a more relaxed environment, but not the case. You're back at it like all of us. One thing that sparked the addendum. So Anthony and I, I got an email talking about some of the things that Anthony and I have been talking through. So this is from the Director of Professional Development and Marketing of ACCP. So it sounds like, again, you'll hear later, there's already a couple other fact checks, another fact check of Nick here. And they want to clarify some misinformation we've talked through. Specifically, I'm going to read this. Contributions to ACCP, the ACCP Foundation, and ACCP PAC do not impact the scheduling of PRN-focused sessions. No doubt this misconception stems from the ACCP PAC PRN Challenge, which does impact the scheduling of PRN business meetings and networking forums. So again, I guess that's for not focus sessions, but business meetings, networking forums. So that is in relation to, we've made a couple references to last year and this year of being the last or second to last clinical session in the meeting. And clearly it was a misconception that donations play a part. So taking you behind the scenes a little bit, a little more of what they were saying is, when we schedule PRN focus sessions, they balance a number of factors. They pay special attention to content, to not try to schedule sessions that appeal to the same audience, not scheduling the crit care and the EM focus sessions or things at the same time. So it says they rotate. There are other things, but that is not how they determine the order from donations. So now, notably, we gave lots of suggestions. They agree with feats of strength being the alternative. So in case we're still looking for other reasons, but I just want to clear the air a little bit that although we give a hard time about being last or whatnot, obviously a lot goes into scheduling these things, and we will stop the misconception that any sort of ACCP PAC donations influence that at all. But Anthony, like you said, hey, you got to appreciate that people are listening. So I do like that. Shout out to to all the folks listening. It was a very, very fun conference. I always enjoy ACCP. So had to lead it with that. But hey, we learn something new every day, right?
And speaking of listening, I think the bar was listening to our episode when we recorded it because, man, hey, save the best for last, I suppose.
Yeah. The lobby bar came on the last night for sure. Very, very fun. Notably, right? So it was game 7 of the ALCS, right? Whoever won that game goes to the World Series. Shout out Rob McLaren. We know Canadian through and through, rooting for his Blue Jays, rooting so much. If you saw him at the business meeting, he was wearing his Toronto Blue Jays Hawaiian shirt, which was a truly tremendous look. Admittedly, I was rooting for the Mariners before I learned that Rob was rooting for them. So it was funny. The game was on in the bar area, and the bartender kind of looks and he goes, "Who are we rooting for?" And I go, "If you want the bar to have fun, you should be rooting for the Blue Jays." The Blue Jays hit a 3-run home run to win and go to the World Series, and that's exactly what happened. It was a blast. Very, very, very fun. Exactly what you want the lobby bar to be. I guess I just saved it for the last night.
Yeah, I was privileged to sit at the table with some very key stakeholders, some admin of ACCP at large, which also happen to be a lot of critical care folks. I got to educate a lot of people about what I would deem my favorite shot to take.
We might have
Um,
some new listeners. You've detailed this in the past, but in case there's some new, well, what is your favorite shot?
it's a duck fart. And for all those that don't know, and I assure you, I'm confident there are many, go look it up, and it's amazing.
That is, yeah, you hear it and you're like, what? You take it, it's actually pretty good. Yeah, that was um, notably lots of critical care folks. Got to give a shout out, Jimmy Hatton Kolpick. That's great. Friend of the pod, Sandy King Gill, of course, as well. And then we learned an interesting nickname for we need to give a shout out to the new incoming president of ACCP, Denise Roney, and of course, critical care.
AKA Dr. Honey.
Dr. Honey. Now, because we wondered, right, when you hear that, I'm like, how did we get that nickname, right? And the way they explained it, it's like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so it's her email address, D Roney. And so, but when you look at it at face value, you see firstly Dr. Honey. And it's such a well-known thing,
Yeah,
apparently outside of ACCP, that her entire office is themed with a beehive and all these bee and honey things. So
which is
that
so
was
good.
really great. Yeah. Even Jimmy, she was like, yeah, I didn't realize no one else knew that.
Well, because I forget who, I think it was Sandy who maybe dropped the reference. Somebody, I think it was Sandy King Gill who dropped the reference. And I think it's so used within kind of their group of friends. I don't think they realized that almost no one else knew. So we got confirmation we were okay to talk about it for the record in case I was concerned. Maybe it was just me, but we are in the clear. It makes sense if this is your office themed, which by the way, I kind of like that as a boss having like a beehive themed because she's really like nice, but I could also see that being the other side of like a boss and having a beehive, with like the stinger implied. So I like that, but I can't imagine that's ever the case. Denise is like so great, one of the best humans and pharmacists. So can't imagine that's the case, but love the dedication to the nickname. That's great. And proof that you can't pick your own nickname, right?
There you go. Yeah, I think it was Sandy that dropped that little dime during her Board of Regents presentation as
Yeah.
the liaison.
And let's kind of highlight. So I don't think anybody deserves a bigger shout out than Scott Benkin for literally doing what some would deem impossible. And that was getting through the non-award PRN review in, I think it was less than 10 minutes. I think he said it was 9 something when I talked to him. We admittedly forgot the time, but it was very, very close. Now, the only disconnect here was communicating our plan to make the business meeting as short as possible with the Board of Regents report because how many slides did they have to try to summarize? Like Sandy tried to summarize like up there on the fly.
Yeah, 30, yeah, 35 slides. So Board of Regents definitely did not get our memo. But again, shout out to Dr. Honey. She like created a little nice TLDR or a Cliff Notes, if you will, for Sandy to present from. So while 35 slides was long, they still like really came with a streamlined approach to thin it down as much as they could.
I mean, I love that idea because like the idea that we're all actively, acutely watching every single slide while that's going is just not the case. So trying to facilitate us being able to network and things and not have those things going on in the background, I think is really, really great. Yeah. And got to give I guess we should give a shout out. I was told I need to make a statement about this. A huge kudos to the critical care PRN. They humbly gave me an award, the Advocacy Award, right? In recognition of outstanding advocacy contributions in critical care pharmacotherapy. So very cool. Huge thanks to the PRN. I'm not a big awards guy. I like giving them rather than receiving them, but that was very nice. It was very fun. And we can say that it made it back. I did not leave it. No one's buying me an alternate or replacement. So that's a good thing.
Okay, throwing some shade here. I see. I see. Yes, I'm glad you talked about it. I know I'm sure you'll go through the rest of the highlight some of the key awards, but I think, just to quote what someone else had said coming to the meeting, like, man, I'm so excited to get to see Nick because he treats everyone like they are a celebrity. And I think when people see that, it may seem inauthentic because you treat everyone like a celebrity, because you're truly there to encourage and boost people up. And I visibly watched someone at the bar see
Yeah,
you meet someone in person for the first time, and they had the expression, the perception that there's no way that's real. And then over the course of the next 20 or 30 minutes, it's very evident that you are that authentic with all of your people. And I think the Advocacy Award couldn't have been better for you. I think it's the most visible advocacy you do is this podcast. But a brief little blurb here from a nomination letter. What sets you apart most is your utmost humility. You're always redirecting credit and recognition, turning the spotlight towards guests, towards mentors, towards colleagues, and inspiring others to pursue similar service initiatives. Your infectious enthusiasm lifts morale within our PRN and reminds us why advocacy is important. So I know you weren't expecting me to read that. So
definitely wasn't.
I know it's going to make the episode.
I promise I won't edit it out. That's real. I mean, it's just really humbling to have, um, such nice things being said about people that I consider colleagues, people I look up to, and things saying those sorts of things. It's really cool. It's really nice. Yeah. Let's go into that interaction though, because I thought that was very fun. I need to give a shout. Kate Kulig ran into her in person. So I think what people don't realize is that there's tons of people that I have worked with that I have never met like face to face or in person, right? Like I've reached out to them virtually. We've recorded virtually. The episode's been posted, right? That's it. So we're there and I see her and I'm excited, right? And most of the time most of the time it's good, sometimes it's bad. I wear my emotions on my sleeve, right? So when I'm really pumped to see me, you're going to be excited, right? If I don't like something you're doing, you can also see, right? For better or worse. But I was very excited to see her. And the person we were talking to, she looks at Kate, she looks at me, and she goes, "Is this real? Like, is this like thinking that I'm like faking, that like I'm faking my like excitement or things to it?" And you're right. I think she just was like probably observing me, to be completely honest, for like the next 20 minutes. And I think she finally started to realize that, like, oh yeah, you're just like way more positive or excited than I thought any person could be. And that is a fact, 'cause I'm so pumped to see
In
everybody.
mid conversation, you stop what you're saying and run around the bar to give Rob a double high five for a homer, and
Well,
then
that was
come back and like it's like you never missed a beat.
it was a 3-run homer in the 8th inning to probably go to the World Series. It was insane. Yeah, I couldn't believe I saw it. Yeah. But I was that excited. You're right. You're right. So that was just a funny interaction. So if people see it, I really am genuine. And if I acted that way when I saw you and you were wondering if it's true, it's 100%. I'm always pumped to see you, especially people that I've met with and worked on multiple things that we've never met. So that was Kate. Shout out. That was great. And then, like Anthony said, I wanted to be sure to highlight the other award winners from that got awards from the Critical Care PRN. So the 2025 Education Award, Caitlin Alexander, who was also gracious enough to come on one of the highlight episodes. The Research Award, presented to Adrian Wong. The Clinical Practitioner Award, right? Shout out to award winner, friend of the pod, Brian Gilbert. The PRN Achievement Award to Andrea Sikora, again, UGA C3 out in Colorado, came on highlights, friend of the pod, awesome. Then, of course, Mentor of the Year, we were able to get her back, Mojda Hevner. The Junior Investigator of the Year, Adam Mohammed. So that was really great. Publication of the Year, shout out to Mitch Buckley. ICU patient to pharmacist ratio, a prospective multi-center time motion study. Time motion is just a great phrase as an aside, but published in Critical Care Medicine. And then the Resident Fellow Award presented to Abigail Rath. But what a great group of people to be recognized with, to get recognition in general. So cool. So a lot of people do a lot of great things within the critical care and the pharmacy community. So it's cool getting recognized at a organizational meeting like ACCP. So very cool. Got to give a shout out to all the other winners and those making big differences. It was just overall, I would say that like whenever on the day of the business meeting, especially whatever specialty you're in, it's always fun having all of those people in one area and really making it easier to reconvene, stay together, and kind of hang out throughout the night. And those are always the more sorts of fun nights. That's where you start to like, when you're hanging out with people and, you're meeting people from, Colorado and Georgia, right? And everywhere in between, all the different things. It's just really fun. The other thing we wanted to do is highlight a little bit more about some of the educational sessions. So kind of breezed through them a bit because that was really the focus of a lot of the highlights episodes where I was able to talk with a lot of the speakers and, sort to get some of their in-depth ideas and their sorts of things. But let's talk a little bit about, so rooms itself. So Anthony, how would you rate sort of the rooms that the sessions were in? Temperature, comfort, crowd or space, sort of snacks. Give the how they talked about the Board of Regents report? We'll do the attendee room report.
Yeah, I think ACCP sent out an email ahead of time reminding us, hey, it's never been in Minnesota before, it might be chilly. And I'm like, okay, the fact that they thought to do that, made me overpack and kind of change, like reset my expectation for what I was going to encounter. So I definitely packed for colder weather than it actually was. I mean, it was breezy, and it was a little chilly if you were outside in the evenings. And that one, I think the last day was kind of rainy and gloomy, but overall,
Yeah.
it wasn't bad. Inside the conference, I think similarly, like I didn't have to wear my pullovers like I thought I would. I did have some vests and, I wore a flannel shirt one day because again, I was kind of prepared for the cooler weather and the Minnesota vibes.
Yeah, I thought within the conference, like the hotel, I guess, and like the rooms itself, I thought the temperature was really nice. Like I know I didn't feel it being as cold. Like sometimes you're in these like big centers and you've like it feels like the air duct is literally blowing all on you and you're like cold. And this is like I don't run cold. So the idea like I'm cold, like Lord knows how cold like the person, the smaller person that runs cold next to me is. And it didn't feel like an icebox in a lot of these, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
Comfort. I thought I had no issues with the general amount of space, like that some of the rooms had the tables so you can sort of like have a laptop or iPad or even like saw more than I thought of like classic notes. Shout out the pen and paper. I'm a paper guy too, so I always liked seeing some of that.
Yeah.
I thought
I
it
also
was
think I
yeah.
think it's good to know for speakers. It's good for speakers to know how the room is going to be laid out. If it's, really wide and not as deep, or if it's going to be deep and wide, or long and narrow. Are you going to have round tables? Because that will change maybe the way that you plan to do some of your talking. At least there was one session in particular made me think. I think they had some ideas for active learning and engagement, um, under the assumption that that there would be some circular tables at the front, but didn't work out in all of the rooms. But I agree, it's nice to have those.
That's a really good idea. I don't know of any conference that gives you any sorts of heads up as to the sort of room that you're gonna like that the setting you're gonna be in. But that could be really helpful, right? Because
Yeah.
think about it, if you're in like the big ballroom versus like more of like the classic, more compact, smaller room, how you're gonna talk through certain things might be completely different.
Yeah, and I think some conferences that let you submit proposals for talks, a lot of times those submissions require you to say, what type of AV support do you need? Do you prefer roundtables or does that matter? So I think that when it's set up for you to submit the proposal, it's built into that. But if you're invited to give a talk on something, then those details aren't necessarily provided.
Um, So one thing that I liked is that they really did have an emphasis on like having some grab and go snacks and drinks. Now, um, the the snacks are kind of what you would I think you'd classically see a lot of them in like lounges in other areas where it'd be like some granola bars, some like maybe fruit sorts of stuff like you mentioned, but they even had like the unique things of like wellness shots, right? Like you mentioned like the beet and ginger and those sorts of things, but that it felt like there was more of those sorts of sort of like handouts or things from a like food and drink perspective than I'm used to seeing at other places. At least like kind of in like not in exhibit halls or things like that, right? Within the conference itself.
Yeah, I know they had the snacks in the poster session. They had, like you
And
said,
those
some healthy options.
well, in the poster sessions, those were warm, right? Those were actually like they had like hors d'oeuvres or like mini apps, didn't they? Like I think they had egg rolls one day.
The first day I recall, I missed one of the poster sessions because the committee luncheon.
Yeah,
But the
yep.
first one they had celery, carrots, and sun butter, maybe some other things, but I've never had sun butter before, so I was thrown off that it wasn't peanut butter, but it was delicious. The only thing and they had soft drinks. The only thing I would have added, and they had tea. Only thing
Hmm.
I would have added there is coffee because the poster session was at noon, so a good coffee right then would have been a good pick me up. And then I think on Monday, I went to the 12 o'clock poster session and I got there maybe 10 or 12 minutes late, like 12:10. I had to
Yeah.
do some picture judging. And the food was like they were pulling the tables out of there. So whatever food it was, it must have been amazing because it was gone so fast.
It is a great idea because it's one of the things that stood out. Like the poster sessions were at a prime time spot during the day, but that's also like lunchtime. So you definitely got nervous of like, oh man, is it eat or go to the poster sessions? So I do like that they had food, but I think because that was the one thing happening, everybody went there, and it just kind of got ate up pretty quickly. That's probably hard to plan for from a like perspective of that. I like that they tried, but it felt like each time it went out, it kind of got cut in half each day. But again, like limitations is a good idea. The drinks lasted longer, which are definitely good. Feels like you're always a little more dehydrated in these sorts of settings. So they had
Well,
some
and
of those.
they came in and replenished the fridge. I saw that they restocked the fridge, but the food was not restocked. But yeah, must have been good.
Um, so then
I'll tell
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'll tell you the other food that was good was the food at the critical care PRN business meeting.
Yep. Were
They had
those black
two
bean
separate,
empanadas? Mm.
yeah, they had two separate tables. One was like a nacho taco theme. Admittedly, I didn't touch anything on that table or that spread. I was on the other side that had maybe a bit more eclectic collection, and the black bean empanadas. Man, I couldn't get enough of those.
Delicious. Spread was great. Yeah, the fact that they had both sides, different ones, that was great. I mean, we said it even before. We knew the Crit Care PRN business meeting was going to be the best. It is always one of the best, and it was no exception today.
And I love that they always have local beers as options in addition to your like traditional domestics. They have wine, but I think their wine selection is like one red and one white. And so if you don't like Chardonnay, sorry. So I think that's the one thing. Could we have a broader wine selection? and maybe even like get rid or thin down some of the beer selection, because it seems like, I don't know this, I don't have the data for it, but it seems like there's more wine drinkers than beer drinkers. And so maybe giving a wider spread of wine selection.
It should be noted that this topic, that piece right there, was requested to be brought up by multiple folks. So I do not think that this is a isolated thinking. But I also want to highlight that this isn't necessarily an Anthony and Nick exclusive request. But I agree. I mean, anything to make other people have a good time, I'm all for. So if that
That's
means a
right.
little wine, I'm down with that.
And at the end of the day, we're talking about first world problems.
Yep. Yep. Um, so other thing in the poster sessions I thought was really cool. They had recruitment there where they're even looking for like residency or, posting. I think it's just residency. I don't think they had career stuff, but it sounded like it was actually pretty helpful, both from a program perspective. You get a little more personal with some of those candidates, but also from a candidate perspective, getting that more kind of personal feel. I kind of got the more of like a quantity or a quality over quantity sort of thing, kind of comparing like being at a showcase here compared to like mid-year, right? Which we know is just pure chaos. So I thought that was really cool. Having different ways to network and find residency programs, I think, is becoming more of the norm. And I think it's cool that this is continuing the way. And it makes sense, right? We talked about the amount of pharmacy students that are just crushing it is awesome. So you're probably wondering, wait, Nick, you said that you were going to do Are You Smarter Than a Pharmacy Student? I did say that. I did not do it. I did not make it to the session. So as my
Trust tree.
penance, yes, we're in the trust tree. We've established this. As my penance, I am going to be reaching out. So UNC won the clinical pharmacy challenge as the students. So I'm going to try to reach out to them and see if their winners will come on and quiz me, and we'll maybe release it on social media or something. So something will be in the works. Have no fear. I'm sorry for letting you down. I feel like I might have been pretty good. I don't know though. I can only guess. I feel like I might have been humbled too. Huge shout out to, we had a lot of really, really good speakers, EM, crit care. And then also I felt like too, from a perspective of like education, leadership, management sort of thing, talking about like AI, some precepting, those sorts of things. So I thought it was a really cool balance of having different types of sessions. So we highlighted, if you haven't, everyone be going back, right? We had the speakers from the ketamine talk, talking about the PRN focus session, right? The use of neuromuscular blockade kind of in the various phases of the hospital. We got the elevating the ICU clinical practice, talking about the new kind of consensus recommendations on the utilization of critical care pharmacists. We have a roundtable with some of the FCCP fellows. Lots of things to highlight. It was a great conference. It was so good. Anthony and I had to pop back on and do just a little more recap and highlight. But awesome time. We're ending it not in the same place, literally in different states. But the same thing as always great to see you. And until next time, until the next conference, right, my friend?
Yeah, man. Looking forward to hopefully Chicago in the early spring.
Yep. I'll be at mid-year in Vegas, so be prepared for some of those things. And then, of course, Chicago, SCCM. Hope to see a lot of people there. It was fun seeing a lot of people here at ACCP with plans of see you in Chicago. That's always nice. Remember,
And if not, some people only get to go to one meeting a year. So if ACCP is your meeting, then we'll see you in Salt Lake City next year.
that's exactly right. Yep. So it looks like it's a Saturday to Tuesday meeting. So we will, like you said, predefine dates. So that'll be. But I'm excited. I haven't been to Salt Lake City before. Lots to do outdoors there. So that should be fun. And welcome back. So on last week's episode from the 2025 ACCP annual meeting and our pre-cap episode, right, featuring Anthony Hawkins and I, you heard a strange cliffhanger. So we have to start the full conference recap. Of course, conference correspondent Anthony Hawkins sitting across from me. We have to start with closing the loop on the cliffhanger. So repeat how you left last time, and then let the listeners know how the story ended.
I believe I used the term I was judged as a predator.
A sexual predator.
Maybe.
I think you did, for the record, but keep going. Maybe just predator, but
Oh, spoiler. So Nick had been to the hotel, got checked in and everything already. And he's like, oh, yeah, dude, just come on up. We're in this room. And did not tell me that I needed a room key to swipe in the elevator to get up here.
Completely forgot.
And so, of course, I'm a little disheveled, got my bags, just walking into the airport, trying to scatter from folks I've already seen in the lobby saying hello. And I realize that I can't go anywhere in the elevator. So I get back off the elevator and start digging in my phone because I'm by myself. There's no one else there. And as I'm getting my phone out to call you to come down and pick me up, this other lady comes in, and I was like, oh, you mind if I hitch a ride? Basically, I did not say that. So maybe I'm not making my point very good here.
No, but you're like, hey, could I use your key to go to my floor? That's what you asked, essentially, right?
Yeah, basically. And so she was very perturbed and sketched out by that, and she was apprehensive, and she was like, yeah. And so she swiped it, and she was like, what floor? I was like, oh, I didn't remember, so I had to go look in my text message from you, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'm on the 9th floor. And then so I mashed.
Oh, the fact that you didn't know right away is a red flag, I think.
Yeah. So then I mashed the 9th floor, and I was like, and where are you headed? So I could mash the button for her. And she was like, no, you can just go, and then I'll go. I was like, okay. That's the most awkward elevator ride I've ever had. Thankfully, we weren't on the 25th floor.
Facts. I mean, that's just something that, unfortunately,
it's the world we live in.
The world we live in. We don't have to think about that. Others still do. That stinks. But it was a funny story of coming up. Learned our lesson. Completely forgot about the keys. That hasn't happened since.
Yeah.
We've been thriving.
True. And I've been very generous with if anybody else needs to get their key out, I just swipe it and let them go.
So it is. Right, so we are coming to you from the Hyatt Regency, right? The 9th floor, as Anthony just said, room 917. If you are in room 915, apologies, because Anthony and I got a noise complaint. We came in and we were talking. We're excited. Anthony and I are exuberant people, especially when we're excited about things. And I'd say within 3 minutes, right, we come back, we get a knock on the door, and there's a sign outside that says tranquil hours, right? So it's quiet time. It makes sense. But we got called on within 60 seconds of being in our room for them to come that quick. And so Anthony answers the door, hears this, and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'll turn the TV down. Guy's like, no, it's not the TV. It's you. That being said, again, learn from our lessons. Hasn't happened since.
That's right.
Was nervous, though. Didn't love that. So sorry if you're in room 915, or I guess maybe 919. Big apologies, not on purpose. Mistakes were made. My apologies. All right. Recap. So we are in Minneapolis. I guess we need to start with with a little fact check. So we don't have a team that's behind the scenes. We've recorded a few episodes. So Anthony, it's been brought to your attention that at least a couple things have been untrue of what I've said. I have identified something as well, but let the listeners know. Bring the facts to life. What do you need to fact check for us from the previous episodes?
For my state count, I gave the over under of 32, and I went back and counted. It's 30 on the nose.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and we came to that conversation because we were talking about neither of us had ever been to Minnesota, right?
I have been to Minnesota. We found that out. Have been to Minnesota.
And you found that out because you remembered a very specific place that we went, and you're like,
so we went to this place that has, I would say, the most crazy Bloody Mary bar I've ever seen. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, I've been here. I didn't get it. Shout out to Susan, who was planning to get a Bloody Mary at 8 p.m., but the bar was only open till 1.
1 p.m.
1 p.m. That facts. Exactly. And then I need to clarify, I gave Mojda Hevner a hard time that she hasn't been on the pod since the very first episode. She clarified that she has. Mojda, my apologies. She absolutely did. PRN Roundtable a couple years ago.
And then Andy Webb.
Yeah. So what was our guess in the first episode?
Yeah, my question to you was, did you think he was gonna reference the new Taylor Swift album?
I definitely thought he would, and survey says
no. You were right about one thing. You said he's not going to listen to this episode before he presents. That's true.
He did not. I brought it to his attention at the bar, and he realized instantly it was a miss. But well, it was still though like, and we give a hard time about like giving a presentation and things for the award and such. But like, Andy is an incredible speaker.
Oh yeah, he did a great job. All the energy I was expecting to have.
Okay, so that's where Nick was wrong, right? So all right, let's go back. We want to start. So Friday night fellows dinner, and one of the things that happened during the dinner was I guess you'd say like a keynote address. I think it's a fellows address is what it was called, but it's called Rethink, Relearn, Repeat. Many things I thought I knew, but I didn't. And Judy Jacoby is just a true wealth of knowledge. So what I want to do is I wrote down a few of the quotes that I thought were really great, and I thought that other people would hit home with or definitely take something away from. So this is one of the biggest takeaways to me. Avoid having an emotional attachment for the things we are advocating for, since our information and opinion related to those things sometimes changes. Whew. I love this, talking about pharmacists. We're a tough crowd when it comes to changing our minds. That is true. But we force people to change their minds on a daily basis, and sometimes that can be uncomfortable. Don't let them assume that this is how it's always been. You know, she highlighted a really cool initiative at IU Health that we have 24/7 critical care and emergency medicine pharmacy coverage, and, you know, highlighting the fact that, like, it took a lot of work from a lot of different people to get where we are, and how cool that is. And then the last two, we benefit greatly from those we associate with. And lastly, mastery requires us to abandon perceived notions about what is possible. So I think all just really cool quotes from somebody that has truly transcended what pharmacists and women in critical care have been able to do for a long time. So really cool. Judy's always the best. It's great to see her. She's been here all conference, mixing it up with everybody, just always interacting, sessions, posters, all the different things. The absolute best.
Yeah, so question, you know, there's conference stuff happening there's some PRM business meetings start at 6:30 in the morning.
We will get to that.
And some sessions end at 5 or 5:30, and then other PRM business meetings start at 6:30 p.m. So all the programming that happens between 8 and 5:30, what do you think is the prime time to maximize attendance? Because the keynote address is where you want everyone there. Some of these big things, the awards ceremonies for some of the big awards, they're all at 8:15. Do you think that's prime time?
11. 10:30, 11.
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
Maybe 10:30 to 12:30, because you don't want to do too late, because then people will want lunch.
That's right.
Food. But if you, maybe a hot take, I don't think there should be any 8 a.m. sessions. Like these things are going till 4 or 5. Now, that being said, we're also complaining about how long the conference duration is. So maybe we can't have it both ways. But maybe, like you said,
well, you can still have morning sessions, but the ones that you want them,
the important ones, like awards, keynote speakers, opening ceremonies.
Yep.
The opening reception, we'll talk about that in a sec. That was arguably my favorite part of the conference, and that was at night.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great time. All right, so that kind of leads us into local food review. All right, what'd you think for your first time in Minnesota?
You know, one of the problem, I love staying in conference hotels. The limitation to that, though, is it really, you're not as motivated to get out and go do things elsewhere. So I did try to make it a point this time to walk or, whatever, to go get food. We went and got breakfast at a local joint Saturday morning.
Honestly, probably the best. We probably got the first meal we had is probably the best meal I've had here.
Yeah, shout out Keys.
Shout out Keys. Very good.
Great breakfast.
They even had what was wild. It wasn't like Rice Krispie bars. Like it was the same idea as Rice Krispies, but instead of that
Fruit
cereal,
Loops.
they had like Reese's Puffs and Fruit Loops and things. Yeah.
Oh.
Should have got it for a food review, but we did not because we were crunched for time to make it back. Because like the thing I do like, posters are prime time, the scientific poster session. So you did feel like there was a lot of people going in and out of those.
Yeah, and we were rushed to get back, and we were a little slow because we had to wait on a lot of traffic to go by, but it was foot traffic.
Yeah, the Special Olympics Law Enforcement Torch Run. Ooh, say that 5 times fast. But it was really cool. They're literally like running up and down the street, the Special Olympic athletes and their sponsors, I think they're called, or parents, what have you, and with an actual torch. It was like a lit torch, like running through, and you saw the families. They were pumped up. They had like a whole starting line. It was cool. That always, like, when you see that always like fills your cup up just a little bit.
Oh yeah, a lot of positive energy coming back for the poster session.
Yeah. Shout out to the EMPRN last night. Kind of renting out Brewhaven, a little craft brewery, bringing some pizza. That was a great idea. Pizza was good. Hell's Kitchen, drinks better than food.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Yeah. All right. So when we shift into the next day, kind of on Saturday, the next sort of big thing, obviously, the primary reasons you're here, the Fellows Induction Ceremony. Okay. So talk us through. So do you all meet somewhere? Like, give us your perspective and like what happened throughout the whole ceremony. Because I guess if you didn't listen, we should know Anthony, new fellow of ACCP of the college. So shout out to you, FCCP. But act like we were with you. Give us what happened from the beginning to the end of the ceremony.
The ceremony was slotted to be from 6 to 6:30. I was already skeptical of that because they said it was their largest induction class. I think it was, 48, 50 folks. So yeah, shout out to all those people. I walked in at 6:02. They said just sit. They had the front 2 or 3, 4 rows of chairs with your little name tag in it, so that you were already in alphabetical order, and they just cranked them out real quick. Say your name and a brief blurb about where you are, what your title is. Scoot across the stage, get back to the seat, open the little box that has your your stuff in it.
What else did it have in
and it had the little purple ribbon that says fellow that goes on your badge. So sure enough,
they held that baby hostage.
Yeah, so sure enough, even though you're getting fellow here, you should not get the badge from the registration booth area until they give it to you in your box.
All right. A couple notable things for me. Number one, how the introductions widely varied of what they read for you. So is that self-submitted?
I do believe so, yeah.
Hey, pharmacists, are we in the trust tree? We got to tighten some of these introductions up. You're a fellow. I don't need to know about committee work. Come on. Jobs. All right, big things. That's great, right? But we need some consistency. Like when Amy Zerba is making a 2-sentence intro of like her bio and things, like that kind of says, like, those things say it all, right?
Set the tone.
Yes. All right, but let's.
But if your title is Medication Knowledge Manager, you should include that.
I like that. All right, let's highlight a few. Biggest class ever, a lot of familiar names, a lot of friends of the pod. Let's highlight a few, of course, in addition to our conference correspondent, our guy here across from me, Anthony Hawkins, Jamie Benkin, a better half of Scott Benkin, who you have hopefully heard on one of our daily recaps here. Brittany Bissell-Turpin, Caitlin Brown, who, by the way, got to shout out Caitlin. She literally secured a tailgate spot at like 6 a.m. for her to help tailgate for the Eagles and Vikings game. MVP, shout out to Caitlin. Brian Gilbert, Christine Groth, Philip King, Steve Lemon. Yeah, Steve Lemon Jr., my apologies. Nicole Metzger, Zach Knoll, Susan Smith, David Zimmerman. Love that. Lots of friends of the pod, lots of familiar faces that you'll hear on some of the daily recaps that hopefully you've been listening, highlighting the great sessions, all those things. So a couple things stood out to me. Number one, that was a kindergarten graduation room. There's like a big pillar in the middle, so you can't, like, there's no way to get a wide angle shot of like the slide with your face and information along with you getting the award, because there were just like they were like barriers in the way.
Yeah, from my seat, I could not see the stage.
No, and then
they told us after we walk across the stage, walk to the back of the room and circle around. Okay, and there were so many people. They were, infiltrating up halfway into the middle of the room, so we had to cut short and cut right through the center.
I will say, though, shout out to them not pulling like some fire code stuff, which they probably should have, but they allowed, because that's a really big moment, and allowing people to see it, get photos, videos, that sort of thing. But yeah, that actually was funny, like once you left the stage, of people sort of figuring out like, okay, where do I go? So it's funny that's what they told you. You all had such a legion of fans that you couldn't even get all the way to the back of the room, right? Yep. Shout out to you all. Did you miss the regalia? I asked you in one of the episodes. Are you bummed that you did not have the full regalia on for the ceremony?
Perfectly content with it. It was already kind of warm, and if I knew I was going to break a leg on the dance floor, I'm glad I didn't have to break a pre-sweat in that thing. And yeah, the induction ceremony was 30 minutes. I think they spent another 30 minutes just lining us up perfectly for their photo op. Like, we went to the little side stage, and I mean, they handpicked each person by height and placed them.
A birdie told me that when they told everybody to gather for the picture, the way it happened first was every guy stood up right behind the chair as if it was going to be this like women in the front, men in the back picture. And this person who told me, who shall remain nameless, had an issue with that appropriately and got that all changed. So I don't know if that led to individual things, but I know that the male initial idea of the photo setup was probably not the best.
Okay. I was unaware of that.
You got to go by height, Yeah. It is funny that the photo took as long, if not longer, than the ceremony itself. It honestly felt like, because when you left, we went to the opening reception. It almost felt like you were in the wedding party. Oh. So you were hanging back. You were getting the pics. You were doing all that thing. And we were like out there getting the reception, all those things, like waiting for you. And it was like, you'd see some of the people like scatter in. So it was almost like when you see like the bridesmaids or something kind of make their way into the reception. That was kind of like the vibes I got.
And that's a good point. Maybe, I mean, not necessarily for the fellows since there's so many of them, but for the opening reception, maybe you do that for the big ACCP award winners.
So that's where I think that not only should the fellows be inducted into that room, those awards should also be at night. And that should be like you said what, your fellow thing was at 6? Mm-hmm. So make it 6 to 7:30 awards, and then the opening reception 7:30 to 9:30.
Yeah.
Because that was the room we had the opening reception in. That was a celebration room. Mm-hmm. And like, this is a big deal. It's not that any award is not a big deal, but this is an even more impactful, career defining award. So yeah. Anything else from a fellow perspective? I'm trying to think.
No, just opening reception though. I think the room was so big. There's so many people. I think there were only two bars.
Wait, go back. Wait. So when you went up to get the award, did you small talk Joellen Rogers or Brian Hemstreet? I think the two, the president and past president of ACCP who were up there and kind of gave you the awards. What was did you small talk? Did you just smile? What was your strategy up there? You seem like a small talker.
I don't know. Maybe you're throwing some shade right now. I don't know.
Not
but when I walked up there, everyone in front of me Brian Hemstreet was welcoming you when you came up the stairs onto the stage, and then it was Joe Ellen. And when I walked up, Brian,
He had moved.
He swapped.
Okay.
So I didn't know if I was supposed to do something different, but instead he just kind of removed himself from the handshaking like process.
He
So
was like, "Yeah,
I was getting
Anthony's
reacclimated.
up. Yeah, I've had enough." But no, you just went up business as usual. Pick, kept it moving.
grab it and go.
Have you seen the pick? Like, is it like a
yeah.
professional picture that day, or do they like what?
I think they got the picture up on LinkedIn, I think within, 8 minutes of taking it.
1 to 10. What's the rating? Good pick.
It's not, I guess, the prom photo style, so it must be a 10.
Okay, good. Love it. I only say because some of the pics that they got at least got posted on social media, no one's looking at the camera.
Oh.
So I'm guessing that there's like they're probably looking at the professional one next to them. So I was just curious, but it's cool that they have the pics in general and that they posted them really quick. The next thing would be getting one of those bad boys printed out and like sending it to you as like a cool remembrance of it.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Opening reception. So yeah, lines were an issue.
Definitely.
Now, we were all, when you checked in, you were given one drink ticket, right? You got kind of like a blue drink ticket. After that, it's like you're at a baseball game. $9, $12. How's the wine?
Wine was good. I was trying to think what I got, but I think I got a wine.
Yeah.
Savvy B, basic. I'm not a big wine.
Savvy B. The hors d'oeuvres were great. They had a great, so the way it was set up, it was this big, massive, like ball, like a hall, like a ballroom essentially. That they had tables, but they also had a dance floor. They had a DJ. They had these two massive projector screens that were like showing the award winners, and I think they had like other like leadership of ACCP that were like getting floated up there. Then there were
A live band.
and there were 3 bars. So this is where people could learn from FCCM, but the problem is it won't happen because it's drink tickets. But like the lines are always an issue because people want their first drink, whether it's whatever that is. And if you could facilitate a way to make that quicker, the lines will be like, I think there'll be a ripple effect of that. Yeah. Just like with because the SCCM fellows, they give you champagne.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And they like start off with the glasses. So yeah, I'm just saying that's an idea.
Yeah, I did have to, of the 3, I didn't know that was 3. I thought that was 2. Of the 3, I went to the one outside the reception hall.
That was the longest one for sure.
Yeah, and everyone wanted to be out there because that's the only place you could talk to people and hear them.
So, okay, so you did not like the live band.
I love the live band, but you had to choose. Did you want to network and chat with folks? Did you want to dance and have a good time? And you could obviously do both, but you really didn't want to do them both in the same room.
Maybe. Agree to disagree. Yeah, you were on the dance floor for sure, cutting a rug. People definitely would have seen Anthony out there. But yeah, I thought that was that like reception, I think had the most people from the conference in one place.
Yeah.
Out of the whole, can you think of anything? I can't think of any other time. Now, admittedly, we're recording this right before the Crit Care PR and business meeting, but the opening reception, like that, you just have people from all the sorts of PRNs, right? Emergency medicine, cardiology, all those sorts of things. So opening reception. So that was Saturday night, correct? So Saturday night, a lot of, and this was a thing, I'm curious your opinion, having a conference on a weekend, like a big football weekend. Like there were a ton of college football games on Sunday, NFL game, or college football game Saturday, NFL game Sunday. And anecdotally, it feels like because of those, if you don't have a direct responsibility, you're just more likely to not go and try to watch the sports or do what you're doing.
Yeah, I mentioned I was 2 minutes late, technically, walking into the fellows induction ceremony because UGA was playing Ole Miss. It was a back-and-forth game, and there was like 2.5 minutes left when I needed to go there. And I tried to stay in as long as I could. Couldn't do it.
Did you stream it on your phone?
No. Not that committed.
Okay, so then the following day, the awards. So let's talk through them. There's 3 friends of the pod who got, and these are awards for the overall ACCP rather than just the PRN. So we've mentioned him, Andy Webb, the New Investigator Award and Lecture, Wild and Free, Consequences of Disproportionate Free Valproate Elevations in the ICU. Fun fact, Young, Wild, and Free, that was released when I was in college, so shout out to that. The Clinical Practice Award, of course, the amazing Amy Zerba, and the Russell R. Miller Award, none other than the man, Rob McLaren. So 3 unbelievable, just pharmacists, humans. So talk about it. How was the ceremony itself? Any kind of notable pieces from any speeches or any of that?
I thought it was nice at the every award winner got like a 2 or 3 minute spiel. Most of them, thanks, acknowledge the awards committee, but also really taking time to highlight their sponsors that have really lifted them up throughout their career, mentors and things like that. Andy had to give a 30-minute CE, and so his last slide was just a thank you slide. He gave a little timeline of how he got to where he was, so that was really nice. And then Rob had some funny comments about how his wife has limited PTO, and so he didn't even tell her he was getting the award because then he knew that she would want to come and celebrate him. He's like, no, we're going to Europe, so you're saving your PTO. But he did have his daughter here, who is a P4 at University of British Columbia. She's already applied for residency programs, so they they have a different timeline. And it's a research-based award, but he took a minute to just talk about how his the greatest thing he's done in life has nothing to do with research or pharmacy. It was his 2 children. And as a new dad, thankfully I was standing in the back behind everyone because, dude, I got a little allergies in my eyes.
Yeah, shout out to Megan. Been awesome. Been at the conference the whole week. So very enjoyed getting to meet and hang out with her. Definitely. So I petitioned for a walk-up song because I also think that's a way to get to know somebody by the kind of song that they pick, sort of thing. So,
and I know Andy's a metalhead only because he's been on the pod before, and so that was my first thing. That's what made me think about having a walk-up song. Is, man, what music would surprise me?
So now again we got another Andy question. The question would be, would that be so jarring that you can't do it?
Yeah, I'd like to hear what they say, or what their songs would be, because then you may decide.
I wonder if that's one of those where they listen to the clip and they switch it out, kind of like how you had made like a name tag for me that basically gamed the system to say I'm your host, Nick Peters, and they changed it at the last minute.
They did.
So who knows? That easily could have happened. So what are these juice shooters?
Well, that's the only shots I've... Actually, that's not true.
That's not true.
Not true. Yeah, beet and ginger root shooters. I
mean, that sounds like a punishment for the record.
I'll say I didn't just do one. I did a second one, and they weren't awful.
You went back to back, or like one day and then the next day?
No, they were only one morning for breakfast with some like yogurt parfaits. But I got one and ate a pear. And then I came back and got another one and a yogurt parfait.
I heard there was some issue with the coffee temperature.
Yep. I guess we've talked about this before. Every conference should have cold brew. Yeah, I guess the initial coffee that was brought out for breakfast and the opening, the award ceremony and things was, I guess, not hot. So Joe Ellen Rogers brought it up, and I guess they had just refilled it because mine was blistering my fingertips.
That is, I mean, when you have a conference like this, you got to have good coffee. I mean, people were saying that like they ran out of coffee at like the early morning business meetings. Like that is unacceptable.
Yeah.
Somebody's saying they kept watching people go up, try to fill it up, and nothing come out, and having the same look of like.
Then you walk around the table and try the other one. Then you finally get it and realize, oh gosh, that's the decaf.
The irony is like that's probably like like a stupidly expensive, like $400 like mini carafe of, like, who knows, right? I feel like everything in these places is just way more than you'd ever think it is.
Oh yeah, I would definitely say it was more expensive than 400, but maybe in Minneapolis, maybe not.
So I understand that. Okay. Fit checks. So one of our movements we're trying to do, make pharmacy less formal. So how'd we do? There's a pharmacist conference. So I will just say inherently it skews to very formal, I would say, on average, correct?
It does.
Okay.
It does.
How would you rate the overall, say, formality or dress, I guess, of the conference attendees? Because we've been here since Friday, so we really have seen, and through the conference stuff, so we've seen a good variety of people.
Yeah, I do feel like the vibe is a little bit toned down. Maybe not quite where we want it, but I do think there is a slow shift.
I think we've gone from very formal to just formal.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think we're making moves. Kind of like how
I definitely got some side eyes of being casual, and I also got some folks that said, "Man, I appreciate the casual look."
Okay, educational sessions. So wide variety of content. Have lucky to highlight a lot of the critical care and emergency medicine sessions and various highlights in some of the daily episodes. So be sure to listen to those if you haven't yet. But overall, what were your kind of general thoughts of the content of the conference?
A 90-minute session is a lot to take in at once. I mean, I'm okay with that because they normally change speakers and you get, the same theme, but you get 3 or 4 speakers on a different, sub aspect of that theme. But man, when it's not just 90-minute talk, it is 90 very, very dense minutes.
It's people like covering 40 to 45 minutes worth of material in a 30-minute time frame is what it felt like in a lot of sessions.
Yeah, we're here to collaborate and network and advance practice. So if you want to give a CE on controversial topics, give some folks some time to ask questions or to talk about what they do at the bedside, and see if it matches up. I did like the consensus. I know you talked to them already, but the group that did the consensus recs for the ICU, theirs was not CE, so maybe they had a little bit more liberty in how they structured it. But they had 45 minutes or so of talking, and then they just opened the floor to the room to say, hey, here's the recommendations, here's how we practically want it to be done. Let's hear from you all on what do you see to be the challenges with this, because that's going to influence some of their future conversations. And it was really great to hear some people get up that are managers of staff pharmacy, evening pharmacists, clinical pharmacy, that type of thing, and say, hey, I don't see how this is possible for recruiting and retention, for all of this different coverage, or did you account for telehealth and EICU when you talked about this? So I think that's the type of collaborative nature that needs to be built into the sessions.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it felt like a lot of, you mentioned that the 90 minutes is long. I completely agree. And I think almost every session was 90 minutes. And it's like almost an awkward time. It's like you need to be, I don't think there should be sessions longer than an hour. That's just so, how are we expected to keep our attention?
And I feel hypocritical because students, we have 2-hour classes. But so, I think it's good perspective from faculty to sit in sessions that are that long and that dry, and hopefully I can reflect on that and change the way I teach in class. But also, I think there's a little difference in a 2-hour class session with students. You give them time to stop and talk to each other and, go through cases and things like that.
Now, and notably, you mentioned the participation in things from the Elevating Clinical Practice, and that was they noted how great that was. Now, there might have been sessions that had, because that's the thing in a conference this big with all these different specialties, some of the talks could have had unique designs of their talk or things, and it might not have been necessarily highlighted in the itinerary, so we might have missed some of them. But it really feels like almost all of them, outside for a couple exceptions, were all PowerPoints.
Death by PowerPoint. Not only that,
And-
but some of the PowerPoints you can't even read, and the speakers would acknowledge it sometimes multiple times in the same presentation. Hey, sorry you can't really read this, but what it's saying is, and I think, I think some of them may have tried to blame it on the size of the projector that they had in the room. But as someone else told me, if you're apologizing for your slides 3 or 4 times, it's probably not the slide. It's probably not the projector or the dimensions.
Yeah. I agree. So that's a, want to highlight the good, but we're also like when we're at these conferences, right, trying to get new, unique ways of talking about this thing, like pro-con debate or like little clinical pearls, quick hitters, those sorts of things.
Yeah, I really like the idea of late breakers where you get something that's more recently published. I think they do this for abstracts at least. But some of these sessions, the speakers reference, oh, there was this great paper related to this topic that was published 6 weeks ago, but unfortunately my slides were due 3 months ago and I can't update it with more recent really great information.
Which is so unfortunate because the study that was published 6 weeks ago, that's the one I want to know about. That's the one that probably I don't know. Yeah, I'm wondering how much the BPS recertification plays a part in some of that. Not all the sessions are. I'm wondering if some of that's the case from just the sheer amount of objectives and such. But
speaking of, I would have loved to have gotten a session on how to recertify my board certification, being that they're changing things around so much.
I agree with that. Again, plug to the Critical Care PRN who are setting up a kind of virtual webinar to kind of talk through some of those logistical requirements. But yeah, I agree. There's like 8 recertification sessions throughout in the various different things, which is nice, but telling us what we actually need would also be a little helpful there. I completely agree. Okay, favorite title. So I'm going to tell you 3 titles, and I'm going to let you pick what you think is your favorite, all right? You ready?
I'm good.
Okay. Waiting on the world to change. Waiting like body weight. Updates on the management of overweight and obesity. Love that. In analysis of paralysis. Neuromuscular blocking agents in the critical care setting. I Can't Drive 55. A review of new therapeutic agents and recommendations for the management of lipids. I'm just envisioning like an old person yelling, I can't drive 55. That's why that one's funny.
I don't know. I like Waiting on the World to Change.
Yeah, it's the winner to me. I completely agree. Shout out. Great title. There were a lot of great puns. Narrowing down to 3. Don't Miss a Beat was one, definitely. Of course, there was a T-Swift Eras Tour. That was classic. But love a good title. So definitely needed to shout that out. Shout out to the poster presenters, especially. Man, the students. Future's bright. The amount of like P4s and P3s that had just impressive posters was truly awesome. Bunch of UGA folks, a lot from the Southeast, like just across the country, just really, really cool. And they had multiple sessions, multiple different specialties. So that's always awesome.
Yeah, I'll shout out Bayard, who's a 4th year at UGA. The critical care PRN over the past, year and a half has been working on a semi-systematic review of controversies and hypothermia. In my group, I asked if I could have a student mentee come on, and we were on the shivering group. So his poster was just the shivering systematic review. And I was the only, he had 5 or 6 authors, Melanie Bodorsky, Angela Slampak-Cindric, and David Gagnon.
Oh, yeah.
So some big names. He doesn't even understand the weight that the authors he had on his poster carry. And
sometimes ignorance is bliss, though, because if you knew, you would be maybe intimidated.
Yes.
Sorry for interrupting. You continue.
Yeah, no, you're good. And then also, I had my ACCP program meeting mentee, Josh Adesmarta, I believe. I don't have it in front of me. He is a 4th year from UIC. He was presenting his research on angiotensin II after kidney transplant. I at least remember Scott and Jamie Benkin were both his mentors. And his was today, and he did a really good job also. Actually, that paper is already published, and so he really had to flex. His QR code was to the paper.
Okay, love that.
Yeah.
All right, so walk-arounds. We both did them, but we did them for different
PRNs.
organizations or PRNs. So what's your preference? Because I did, my walk-arounds were you met with a group of pharmacists, and you went as a pack to a set anywhere from probably 6 to 7 posters, and you made your way to all of them, got the spiel, asked questions as a group, thanked them, and moved on. So what was and that's what I'm more used to doing from a poster rounds perspective, but what was your process?
We were asked to sign up for a time slot for the poster sessions, and then after we signed up and it was finalized, then they kind of told us the structure, and I was just assigned 3 posters to go review. And so in my mind, very similar to the Crit Care PR, when I see 6 people have signed up, those are the 6 people I'm going to be walking around with. And so when I'm assuming I'm going to be walking around from poster to poster with a group of folks. And instead I got 3 posters. And I just go do it by myself. So that's less intimidating.
What did you like?
It's less intimidating, I think, to the presenter. You don't have a huge group of people coming up. So
yeah.
I think that's nice. I was a little unsure if I needed to disclose that I was a poster judge for the term that was used for the education and training PRN. But I think overall it was good. I mean, there's no, like for you, if it started at 12, you needed to be there at 12 to gather with your group. Whereas
notably, he's saying that to me because I showed up late both days.
Or
sorry, y'all.
I could show up with 10 minutes left in the 90-minute poster session and go do my 3.
Well, no, according to you, you said that the people are going to be walking around checking out other posters in the last 30 minutes.
That's right. I didn't do that, but I could have because I wasn't accountable to another group.
Yeah, and I think you have a little more control over what posters you see.
Yeah.
In that case, I agree. Yeah. There are pros and cons to both. I agree. If you are the poster presenter, especially a learner presenter, you definitely, I'm guessing, prefer the small group.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. ACCP committee luncheon, right? So we need you to rate the spread, right? So this is for the listeners. This is if you're involved in a committee for the kind of big organization, ACCP, not the PRNs, but the ACCP itself. You have like a task force sort of luncheon where you go through and talk about your committee charges and discuss plans and that sort of thing. Is that an accurate kind of one-liner?
Yeah, I think it could be done different ways, but that's the 2 times I've done it so far.
Okay.
You do a lot of initial brainstorming, kind of set the expectations and the tone for the year.
Rate the spread. Going in, you're pumped. You're like, yep, free lunch.
Yeah, great lunch. First, I'll rate the security on the spread. I couldn't get to the food. There was a lady guarding the hallway where the buffet was, and you had to first go into the committee room, and then you could access.
Did they stamp your hand like you were going, like you're in a bar, you're checking your ID?
And the line for the buffet was so long. Thankfully, there was like a separate section where you could go get some soup. So I just crushed a couple bowls of soup while I was waiting for the line for the buffet to go down.
Soup boy.
Yeah. And then I get in this long line, and they're like, this one of the staff comes over and says, "Hey, there's 2 buffet lines." And so she had to escort us back out of the room into the little separate hallway where I was initially told you were absolutely not allowed to come in this way. So I ended up cutting the line a lot with the help of an escort. But yeah, they had some pulled brisket, some walleye, I believe it was, some fried walleye, which I guess is
that must be big out here.
Yeah.
That's been an option at almost every restaurant we've been to. Shout out to the walleye. It's a fun name.
Yeah, I will say the spread was pretty good.
Would you say that's the best?
I'll say
the best meeting sponsored meal that you had.
I will definitely say the food at the committee meeting was so much better than the fellows dinner.
That's insane to me. All right, we just got to move on. We got to move on from that. What committee are you on? Let's put a plug for the committees, right? Definitely something that we mention fellows and awards, and even the actual meeting itself. All these things happen because of people getting involved with some of these committees. So what committee are you on?
Educational Affairs Committee, second year doing this. I think it's really great to be. I mean, definitely a shout out to the committees, and a plug for people to join, try to get involved. Some of the students were saying, "Man, how do y'all know all of these people at this meeting from all across the country?" And this is how you do it. You come to the meeting, you get involved in different things, and you will get to know people in these smaller, these little networks.
Well, and then when you get involved, right, then it's where you've been collaborating with people and then you're finally meeting in person. It's like, oh, it's great. We've been Zooming for 8 months, right? Like, so you also get the other side of it for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's transition into the business meetings, right? So we are, again, recording this before the critical care PRN. If there are big notable things, we'll try to record a quick mini recap tomorrow, but Anthony's flying out very early. And admittedly, we don't have the same energy at 6 or 7 in the morning as we do at 6 at night. So hence why we're recording it tonight. But if there's very notable or big things, we'll for sure have a little addendum at the end of this when this gets posted on either Tuesday or Wednesday. So I started to think about this because I was at the emergency medicine PRN business meeting, and it feels like they essentially had very light, like sort of refreshments essentially at the business meeting, but then they held like a social event at like an outside bar and like bought it out essentially and had food and drink there. So my question is, what do you think your preference is? In or outside the hospital? But
Outside the conference, yes.
Yes.
Just a great example. There's no way I'm going to go to a PRN business meeting inside the conference center hotel and play cornhole. And so we got to play some cornhole last night. They had some dartboards. Now, shout out to Trisha. She absolutely demolished.
I was going to say, we need to shout out Trisha and Christine, who absolutely pulled the rug from
me and Kevin.
Kevin Mercer. Shout out Kevin.
Gosh, yeah. Trisha was hustling for sure.
Yeah. Well, it was unfair. Yeah. Yep. Shout out Trisha for sure.
But yeah, definitely they had theirs at a brewery right around the corner. I think that is an awesome vibe, great idea to just get away from the conference center. It makes you go just see something else in the city that's outside the walls of the Hyatt.
A great idea. And that makes me think, like, is that what the people who had 6:30 business meetings did?
6:30 a.m.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like it's a recurring thing. I'm sure people are like, man, you're just harping on this. I think like the thing to me is like, and we've always talked about this, like I come to ACCP for the networking, to reconnect with people. And one of the literal best times to do that is at a business meeting. That's where you're almost always going to have the people in that specialty around if they can go. That's where you're most likely to actually talk through or reconnect, especially with people in your specific background or specialty.
Yeah, it's there or the hotel lobby. And
so the idea that you register for this and then you find out that the business meeting's at 6:30, like that would be frustrating. Now, my only thought is, do they do that and they're like, hey, we're going to go through kind of committee reports, whatever, we'll send this out too, but the social event is tonight. So that's what I don't know. I haven't heard back from anybody, because initially I was told this was only for the small PRNs, but then we looked, both ambulatory care and cardiology had an early one.
Ooh,
Those are big like PRNs. So now I'm starting to like that. Then that made me wonder the social event thing or not. I could see both being great. I like the idea, like you said, when you're in, especially when you're staying in the conference hotel, you're always in the hotel. Everything's here. You're eating here, the hotel. So I kind of open to the idea of exploring a little more. Now, this isn't, shout out to the Quick Care PRN. We always have the best business meeting. So they'll do hors d'oeuvres and things like that. But I like the idea of some kind of varieties there. Shout out to the EM. That was fun yesterday. It was, what's the name of the place?
Brewhaven.
Yeah, Brewhaven. Very fun. Shout out to everybody there. Lobby bar review. So any hotel we stay at, I like to give reviews of the lobby bar, both in its accessibility, overall vibes, just general atmosphere.
Yeah, and visibility.
It's a bad lobby bar. I did not enjoy it. It was very isolated. It wasn't open. It ended early. It felt like it was just very hard to like socialize, and like there's room for like 30 people in the bar. and that's it. It feels like, because everybody had to have a seat. If not, you were like very much in the way.
Yeah, I think some of it's just the structure of the design, and it's just it's so far removed from the path that you walk to go, from the conference content areas. Then you just turn the corner to go grab the elevator to your room, and so you pass that one huge area that's separate from the bar, that's got the fire pit or whatever it was, and it's down in this hole-looking thing, and there's a lot of space there, but it's not convenient for service, and you have to go further away to get into the bar. So, we talked about on the pre-cap, I like having all of the students get together and grab folks as they walk by and, introduce them and do a little bit of the networking. Much, much more difficult. Shout out to Josh, I think from Ohio State, Justin Moore from Northwestern. I'm trying to think. There's a few others that stopped by, but it was far less than what we did last year because of the structure of things.
Just less open. Now we're going to persevere, and we're going to try to make our way through it, but we just got to make it known that this was a not top tier lobby bar, and it definitely showed.
Yep.
Hotel itself, right? I had no issues because we previously complained of places feeling too big, everything being far away. Being here, it actually felt very easy to get around, and everything was like very close.
Yeah, and they are really good, strict enforcers of the tranquil hours.
Very much so, which for most people is probably a
That's
great thing, 100%. So the other thing that was very unique about this is the gym has a basketball court. All right, so I heard you got some shots up?
I did go. Everybody else was talking about it, so I was like, I have to go see what it's about.
Yeah, and
it was like a corn maze to find out where the thing was. You haven't been there yet, so I'll have to take.
We will be taking a field trip later, and again, if notable things happen, addendum later. But we will be going.
You have to walk through this big room that has the indoor swimming pool. And the swimming pool is surrounded by people's like porches for their hotel rooms. So you can walk out your little sliding glass back door.
Yeah, don't love that. It's very voyeuristic in a bad way.
It was a little weird.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, so then you go through that room, and then you pass the gym, and the gym has a huge wall of windows that's looking into the basketball court. So you got to feel pretty confident in yourself because it's like an aquarium. Basically, people watching you play basketball. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and basketball's one of those things that a lot of people think they're way better than they are. So you shoot and you miss, everyone's like Ralph from The Simpsons. I do know, right? Shout out Scott Banking getting buckets. I know Ty Kaiser was in there.
Brian Murray. I knew they got out there this morning. There was 3 of them together that got to play a little bit.
Yeah, getting shots up. Still got it. Shout out to them. Very, very fun. Wish I could have joined, but listeners, friends of the pod, it's my dedication to you. We were recording instead, so no ball for me. I'm just thinking, though, with all the people playing on like the basketball court, it kind of made me think of like when the people in the office play basketball, kind of thinking of like there's probably, the varying skills and all those things. But very funny, fun, great little twist in terms of the hotel. Did you miss an exhibit hall? So normally an exhibit hall is where like industry sponsors and such get featured. None. There was no exhibit hall here to my knowledge. And initially my thought was that I missed it, but to be honest with you, I didn't even think about it until we were planning this recap where I had a note for the exhibit hall and there just isn't one. So that makes me think that I actually probably didn't miss anything.
Yeah, it'd probably make your registration a little cheaper. Other than that, like unless you really would just want to go get a lot of pins and stickers and the little cheap things that stick to the back of your phone case, you probably don't care.
Okay, touche. Yep, that's what I thought too. Now, the other thing, there were a lot of notable posters that were like student award finalist or research poster finalist, resident student, etc. I can't find who actually won. Like you were saying people got notified if they didn't win, but I haven't seen posted who actually won those contests and such. Social media was okay following along. This is kind of a meeting where it doesn't feel like there's as FCCM and maybe even mid-year to the extent I feel like there's I'm following more of what's happening like online through the
Real time.
hashtags and things.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily feel that here.
Yeah, the awards winners, like the Andy Webb, the Rob McLaren, the Amy Zerba, those things, I think they were very timely in posting those.
Agreed, right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did have somebody who I feel like he was the person working as hard as me. Every time I'm recording, I see him going around. He was the photographer, so they did get some good shots there. So next year, Salt Lake City, Utah. So we are staying in what would be a classically cold state, I guess you'd think, right? Utah in October. What do you think?
I've been to Salt Lake twice, only as a layover in the airport, so I don't count that.
You did that.
I don't count that for my 30 states I've been to. Only if I've spent the night. That's how I count it.
You're about to get Reggie Miller.
Yeah.
31. Love that.
But just the views from their airport is amazing, so I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Now that is because we talked about the duration. That's one where we might have to do some nature exploring. Because it's crazy. You're going to be here from Friday night to tomorrow morning, and you're missing something.
Yeah. Analysis from paralysis.
Yeah. Shout out to
the Crit Care. Yeah, the Crit Care PRN focus session is tomorrow at, I think, the same time my flight leaves at 10 o'clock or so.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out. Those are just tremendous speakers, all three of them. And, of course, Scott is the moderator. Overall, it felt like there were a core group of people that I knew were going to be here that I'm very excited to see. But I would say I ran into or had unexpected reunions much, much less at this ACCP meeting than I have others. Mm-hmm. Did you feel that way too?
Yeah, and I didn't go to Critical Care Congress this year, so
no, but I just mean in general compared to like previous. I feel like ACCP, I see and run into a lot more pharmacists or colleagues, people I've either I know of or worked with, and I feel like that it felt like the numbers were down this year, but maybe that's just anecdotal.
Yeah, I do feel like there were less people here. I also felt like I was able to catch up with folks that I just met last year, so just new connections that you get to build.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy it. It's been great catching up with a lot of people. I'll be curious to see do we have the conference over a full weekend again in October where things can be very busy, right? Maybe we should do like a Sunday to Tuesday conference.
Yeah, and I'm sure they pick these dates out many years in advance, but they also need to think about, a lot of organizations have a fall annual meeting, and everybody picks October.
Right.
Anything later
Chris
than
told
that,
us
it's too cold.
He's going to ID week.
Yeah, you worry about ID week. I mean, all of it. So
I'm just teasing, Chris. All in all, fun. Shout out to the Crit Care PRN, doing great things, getting to highlight a lot of cool things that all the pharmacists are doing. Reunited with Anthony. Haven't seen him in a minute. So good. Great time. Hopefully people have enjoyed the highlights and daily recaps. It's been fun kind of getting back into it and highlighting all the cool sessions and things that the pharmacy world is doing. Need to highlight, right? Your award winner, right? You won the Teaching and Mentoring Award for the Education and Training PRN. Can't forget that. Got to slide that in. Big thanks to Anthony here. Last night, vibe should be high. Anything else?
We got one more night to get after it.
We got flannel. We're both admittedly wearing flannel in Minnesota, so it feels like we're fitting in flannel and tweed from head to toe on me. So,
and the business meeting starts in 17 minutes.
Yep. To the PRN when I'm 5 to 10 minutes late. Sorry in advance. All right. Great meeting. Great recap. Until next time, my friend.
Yeah. Enjoyed it, man. Always.
Another huge thanks to, of course, Anthony, all he did coming on the pod and helping recap the conference for those who were there and not. But, of course, everyone who joined, contributed, countless people. The pod's nothing without all the great work that all the other pharmacists are doing. It's really cool to get to highlight that. So conferences are a cool place to do that, and it's really fun. So appreciate the support, kind words. Reach out to me at Pharmacytodose, T-O-to-dose, Pharmacytodose at gmail.com. But until next time, I'm Nick Peters. This is Pharmacy to Dose, the Critical Care Podcast.